So is Britain's mass immigration experiment exposing women? Is it making British women less safe? Let's speak to political broadcaster and author Jess Gill. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on.
That's great to have you on the show. Why is this so preeminent as a topic at the moment? The idea of linking immigration with women's safety, and is there anything in it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say mass immigration is the biggest threat to women in Britain today. And we can see by this poll the fact that almost half of women in this country believe that mass immigration is making their area unsafe. I mean, the statistics just prove it. 1 in 4 sex crimes are committed by foreign nationals, which means that they're overrepresented in terms of crime statistics. And I think they're 3.5 times more likely to be arrested for these sex crimes as well. And when you take into consideration of nationalities like Afghans, they're 20 times more likely to commit sex crimes than the British population. So this is obviously a massive issue. And we can see right now with the protests in the streets when it comes to women standing up for their basic safety. We can see through the success of my own organisation, the Women's Safety Initiative, where we've had hundreds of women come forward and say that mass immigration is making them unsafe, that when they get catcalled, when they get harassed, when they get assaulted, and even worse than that, it is most likely going to be foreign nationals. These are the stories that we've heard over the past few months since starting.
But the raw figures will implicate the indigenous population, number one, won't they? So I take your point about proportion of offences in relation to ethnic and national background, but the raw numbers will still implicate, you know, people that are British that live here. So why is the distinction important to make? If you're attacked in this egregious way, who cares who's doing it? They shouldn't be doing it in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's a valid point to raise. First of all, I think different crimes, different sex crimes in particular, should be treated very differently. For example, a lot of the sex crimes committed by the native population are generally relatives, friends, family, people that they know, their husbands, their partners, on which needs to be dealt with a lot differently compared to if someone randomly attacks you in the street, which is what we're seeing when it comes to migrant crime in particular, and also addressing the reason why it's happening. Obviously, we should try and tackle all sex crimes without a doubt. However, different sex crimes need different approaches, and there's different reasons why they commit it. And I think it would be ridiculous to deny the fact that the reason, or at least part of the reason, why these men from these countries commit these crimes is because they're carrying the attitudes from their countries. There's a reason why, you know, Afghans, for example, they're more likely to commit sex crimes when women have no rights, they have no respect in Afghanistan. And you can see that with the statistics, with the data. And I think if you want to be honest about this, then you need to address that. I mean, you know, it is true that the native population commits more sex crimes, but at the same time, it means that we've imported a quarter of our sex crimes. A quarter of sex crimes could have been avoided if the government didn't take their radical extremist mass immigration policy that we've been seeing over the last decades.
Well, yeah, that is obviously the big problem, isn't it? Is that if people come to this country and attack citizens, and particularly via illegal immigration, then these crimes are crimes that were avoidable and have happened in a sense by design because it's been a policy of open doors, open borders, effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's shocking that the government has turned a blind eye to this for so long. I mean, honestly, I would expect the figures to be way higher. Personally, right now I live in Tottenham. Only for another week I'm moving away, thank God. But ever since I've been here, it's been one after another. Every time I go out, there's been some incident that's happened. Somebody said something weird to me. Somebody stared at me in a very uncomfortable way. I've even had multiple people follow me home on different occasions. When it gets dark out, even though it's 10 minutes from the tube, I have to get the bus. And even then I've been followed from the tube station to the bus station, to the bus stop, and from the bus stop to my accommodation, even though it's a 2-minute walk. And throughout my time as founder of the Women's Safety Initiative, I've heard so many stories of women feeling the same way all across the country. This is what's happening all across the country to women. And you can see this, for example, with the grooming gangs. That's the key example of this, where women and girls across this country have been raped and groomed by predominantly Pakistani men, and the authorities have turned a blind eye to it and sometimes been implicated in it.
Well, indeed, and many of those perpetrators came to this country. You know, they're not born British citizens, and therefore we have imported, you know, the worst kind of criminal into the country, attacking the most vulnerable of our community, of our society, which is young girls. So it is obviously quite shocking, but is there a danger of tarring everyone with the same brush? Because you mentioned statistics around people from Afghanistan. That's fine, but it might also be that the person working in your local chemist is from Afghanistan, doing a great job, delivering you a pizza perhaps, working in a garage. You know, what do you say to the law-abiding foreign nationals who have come to this country making a life here?
My priority is with British women first. I think that just makes sense. I think even though obviously it's nice if, for example, a chemist is a foreign national and they just want to pay their taxes and uphold the law, I think that's respectable and I applaud them for doing that. But at the same time, if it's at the slight cost, at the slight chance, which it is, as I said, Afghans are 20 times more likely to commit sex crimes and foreign nationals are 3.5 times more likely to commit sex crimes, I don't think it's worth it, because, you know, the implications of that are women are getting raped and sexually assaulted, and I don't think that's a price worth paying. I'm not saying we can't have any immigration at all, that's ridiculous, but I think the vetting needs to be a lot higher, and I think we need to have a genuine think of who we've allowed into our country, and I think we need to reverse the vast majority of it.
Even if you close the border right now, is the genie not out of the bottle?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to be realistic with this. We've had an extremist mass immigration policy over the past decades. The people who are sexually harassing me in Tottenham will stay there, and I think that's unacceptable. The people who have been in the grooming gangs will still be there. That's unacceptable. As you said, the genie is out of the bottle, and I think we need to address that. And I think, at the very least, we need to start deporting sex criminals, because that's not happening. But I think, quite frankly, we need to go further than that, because, frankly, Britain has become unsafe. It also has economic disadvantages and social disadvantages, as we're seeing across the country.
You say it needs to go further than that. It's not going to happen, is it? Even Nigel Farage has ruled out mass deportations only for the most serious criminals.
I mean, even for the most serious criminals, we're not seeing it. And again, our poll showed that 87% of the British public agreed with deporting sex criminals. That should be common sense, yet the government isn't implementing that. And I think most people would go a step further, in the sense that there are so many people who have come over here with backwards attitudes, and I think they need to go back. I don't think there's anything cruel about it. What's cruel is allowing these people who are regularly sexually harassing women staying here, and a lot of these women don't feel that they can report it to the police, because the police will turn a blind eye, they will dismiss them, and they won't do anything. All that will happen is that they fill out paperwork, and that's it. My friend Anna, who's the Deputy Director of the Women's Safety Initiative, actually only a few weeks after we started, she saw this man taking hundreds of pictures of her on the train, and she was very brave. She approached this man, she was like, "What are you doing? Delete these pictures." And she was recording him. She got footage of it showing that he's deleting these pictures which were of her on his phone. She showed it to the police, and the police did nothing about it. They said that he has a right to do it, he can take photos of her, it's within his freedom, and I don't think that's acceptable. Yeah.
What have you been through by way of your campaign? I mean, have you been labelled? Have you lost friends? Have you been attacked about this? What price have you paid personally for raising this issue?
Well, not that much, actually, because I think it is quite common sense, and I think most people can see. As our poll said, 90% of people actually agree with us, and actually it isn't the 10% that disagree with us, it's 3% that disagree with us specifically, 7% are unsure. And I think when you look at those 3%, they're not this 3% that you want on board. Like, nothing that we're saying here is radical or extreme. Obviously, the media will try and label us as certain things. We've had hit pieces in things like the Metro, calling us all sorts. But honestly, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of support we've received. We have 700 members. We've had so much engagement on social media, also in person, and just genuine support. So I'm so thankful for that. And I think, you know, we are going to win.
Jess, tell me about how people can find out more about what you do.
So we're most prominent on Twitter/X. If you type in Women's Safety Initiative, it should be there. But we're also on other social media platforms, and we have a website as well.
Thank you, Jess. We'll catch up soon. My thanks to political broadcaster and author Jess Gill.